Yeah, man, Sophie Cunningham has officially arrived into the mainstream. Hot f***ing damn.
"8 minutes. That is all the warning Sophie Cunningham got before she walked into a UFC octagon in front of a sold-out T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. No rehearsal, no plan, no shoes.
And a star is born. Sophie Cunningham, she's not an overnight sensation anymore. She's not just a meme. She's not just somebody who put J.C. Sheldon in a headlock. She's not just somebody who went 2v1 against the Connecticut Sun. She's not somebody who pointed at Dewana Bonner. Sophie Cunningham has officially hit the mainstream. She has now placed herself as one of the 3 top stars of the WNBA.
And by the time she finished her lap around that cage, she had done something nobody expected. She took over UFC 329. On the same night, Conor McGregor made his long-awaited return, with Mike Tyson sitting in the crowd. The night before, a Fever game. So how on earth does an Indiana Fever guard end up as a surprise ring girl at the biggest fight card of the year? Trust me, the answer is even better than you think.
Sophie Cunningham last night broke the internet, showing up at UFC 329. The Conor McGregor card, that was a debacle in of itself. But Sophie Cunningham showed up, not in the crowd. There wasn't a celebrity camera panning to her. Sophie Cunningham was chatting with Dana White and said, "Hey, I wanna walk around the octagon." Dana White said, "Sweet, you're a ring card girl for the co-main event." Sophie Cunningham, next thing you know, barefoot, holding up a ring card.
Let us set the scene. Saturday night, July 11th, Las Vegas, UFC 329. This was not just any fight card. This was McGregor versus Max Holloway, the rematch the entire combat sports world had been waiting on. Celebrity row was stacked. Mike Tyson, Drew Brees, Theo Vaughn, Shakur Stevenson, everybody who is anybody was in that building. And sitting right there among them was Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie Cunningham, folks, the future I see for Sophie Cunningham, I think it's beyond being like a WNBA or a basketball analyst. I think Sophie Cunningham's future could very well be like a Good Morning America spot. Like what was that show? Something in Kelly, Regis and Kelly, something like that. She's Kelly. Seriously, Sophie Cunningham can do daytime TV, daytime news anchor, you name it. Everything seems to be on the table for Sophie Cunningham.
Now, if you follow the Fever, you know exactly why she was in Vegas. Indiana plays the Aces on Sunday night. So Sophie had a rare night off in the entertainment capital of the world. And she did what Sophie Cunningham does. She went where the action was. But here is the thing. Sitting ringside was never going to be enough for her, because at some point during the night, Dana White came over to say hello. The two of them have become friends over the past year, and this is where the story turns. Sophie did not wait for an invitation. According to her own retelling, after the fact, she flat out told Dana that if he ever needed a ring girl, she was available. And Dana, being Dana, did not hesitate. He gave her the first round of the Patty Pimblett fight on the spot.
Look at this. Sophie Cunningham was the ring card girl at UFC 329 and did the point. You got her walking around, you got her with the other ring card girls. Like, Sophie Cunningham walked in, did the point, stole the entire card, and left. Ring girl of the year already. Thanks for carrying the show. How can anyone not love this? What? I mean, she, folks, you don't get much more likable than Sophie Cunningham.
Think about that. The co-main event of the biggest card of the year. Millions watching around the world. And the UFC handed the round card to a WNBA player with roughly 8 minutes of notice. Dana White confirmed the timeline himself after the event. 8 minutes. That is it. Most people would panic. Sophie Cunningham is not most people. When the moment came, she kicked off her shoes, grabbed the round 1 card, and strutted around the octagon barefoot like she had been doing it her entire life. black tank top, huge smile, soaking in every second of it. And then she did it. The point. The same finger point that became one of the biggest memes of the year after her showdown with Dewana Bonner. She broke it out in the middle of a UFC cage, pointing right at Celebrity Row, and the crowd absolutely lost it. The clips went viral before the fight even started. WNBA fans and UFC fans collided in the same comment sections, and for a few minutes, the biggest star in the building was not a fighter. It was a guard from Indiana. But this night was about to get even crazier because the fights themselves turned into total chaos. Sophie only got one lap around that cage, and here is why. Patty Pimblett choked Benoit Saint-Denis unconscious in 52 seconds. One round. Done.
Co-main event, Patty Pimblett in his...
Locked up. He's got him locked up tight. His neck is severely caught. Deep trouble. Crisscross attack.
And that will do it! Patty Pimblett!
Sophie's ring girl career lasted exactly one walk. And then came the main event. Conor McGregor, the biggest name in UFC history, stepped into the cage for his massive comeback moment. It lasted 69 seconds. McGregor threw an opening kick, appeared to blow out his knee, and the whole thing was over before it started. You already know what the internet did with that. The jokes wrote themselves. Fans piled in saying Sophie Cunningham lasted longer in the octagon than Conor McGregor on his own comeback night. That is brutal. And honestly, it is kind of true. And Sophie was not done. After the event wrapped, she was in the octagon with Max Holloway himself, the man who had just beaten McGregor, and the two of them hit the point down together. That photo spread everywhere within hours. Then Dana White stepped up to the podium at the post-fight press conference, and instead of leading with his superstar fighters, he found himself gushing about a basketball player. He told reporters straight up, quote, "I love Sophie Cunningham," end quote, and called her fun.
I love Sophie Cunningham. We've created a relationship, and she was here tonight. And when she walked in, she goes, "Oh, I want to walk around that up." I said, "Then you're going to walk around it." Yeah. She's fun.
When the most powerful man in combat sports is publicly singing your praises after his biggest event of the year, you have arrived. So why does this matter beyond one viral night? Because this is the bigger story hiding in plain sight. Sophie Cunningham came to Indiana as Caitlin Clark's enforcer. Now she is a full-blown mainstream celebrity. Her Adidas player exclusive shoe, the Crazy Energy, drops July 24th. She has a podcast. She has UFC executives treating her like family. And she plays for a fever team sitting at 13-9, the best record in the Eastern Conference. This is what the Caitlin Clark effect really looks like. It is not just one player selling out arenas anymore. It is an entire roster becoming household names, crossing over into other sports, and pulling brand new eyeballs toward the WNBA every single week. 5 years ago, a Fever role player walking a UFC round card would have been unthinkable. Now it breaks the internet. The only question left is whether this was a one-time thing. Dana White clearly loves her, the fans clearly loved it, and Sophie clearly said yes in about 2 seconds. Something tells me we have not seen the last of Sophie Cunningham inside that octagon. Sophie asked for the job, got 8 minutes of notice, and still outshined the biggest fight card of the year. Some people are just built for the spotlight. What do you think? Should the UFC bring Sophie back, or should she stick to breaking ankles instead of round cards? Drop your take in the comments. Let's start with what Reese actually said, because the wording matters. On Thursday, right after the WNBA revealed its 10 All-Star starters, Reese stepped up for her teammates. Quote, "I expect to be disrespected." She said the snub of Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray was a slap in the face. And since they weren't going to say anything, she would.
A bunch of stars here, but noticeably no Atlanta girls on here, right? Naturally, Angel Reese wasn't gonna go quiet, right? She called it a slap in the face to not include anybody from the Dream as starters. So let me ask you this, Alexa, having nobody from the Dream included as an all-star starter, is this something or nothing?
I think it's fair to say it's something, and yes, you have maybe 3 players that were really in mind for this conversation, and Angel Reese, Ryan Howard, and Alicia Gray. I think Ryan Howard is the one who probably had the best argument to be in the starter conversation.
Give her credit. She was standing up for her locker room. The Dream are tied at the top of the Eastern Conference. Howard and Gray are both top 15 scorers. Reese leads the entire league in rebounding, and not one of them made the starting 10.
We're gonna have some fun. Let's get it! Burn! What do Angel Reese and a lost traveler in the woods have in common? Are both uncoordinated! Burn! 21 games this year. She's already been blocked 50 times. And there's another one! Burn! Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. The Mona Lisa got recreated. Beautiful! Bang! Look at that. Who got her own rebound?
Anyone know what butter pecan means?
It's provocative. It gets the people going. Butter pecan! Bang! For a bath, because she's dirty. Burn! How about a me throw numero uno? Bang! Me throw numero dos. No bueno! Bang! One of the classic combo moves, a hook and hope, into a me bound. Fouled up with a chuck and duck. Bang! Why is she always crashing to the floor, man? Get her a parachute and some landing gear! Bang! Trip to the Line is sponsored by your local brick supplier. Bang!
So, is it a conspiracy? Here's where the numbers start talking. Reese finished 7th among front court players in the combined voting. Howard was hurt by being listed as a guard in the deepest guard class in years, stuck behind Paige Buchers, Olivia Miles, Caitlin Clark, and Kelsey Mitchell. That's not a rigged system. That's a traffic jam.
Having a little bit of a dip right now. They've lost 5 straight games. Maybe that had something to do with some of the less enthusiasm for the Dream players, but I do expect we're going to be getting the reserves named later today on Tuesday evening. I do expect that we'll have at least 2. I hope, probably even those 3 players that we talked about from the Dream that will be named, will be named All-Stars even if they're not among the starting core.
And here's the part that stings. Reese herself said she wishes Dream fans would have galvanized around their players more. Read that again. She's pointing at her own fan base for not showing up at the ballot box. But if the player with the biggest social media platform in that locker room can't turn followers into votes, whose job was that?
Got another day that ends in a Y, which also means that Angel Reese is mad about something. Angel Reese is pissed off at the Atlanta Dream fan base. You just got to Atlanta. You just got to Atlanta, and now you're pissing in the face of your fans. Why? Because no Atlanta Dream players are actually starters on the All-Star team. Now, keep in mind, 2 or 3 of them will probably make the team, but they're not starters. So Angel Reese is pissed off, right?
Meanwhile, in Indianapolis, the votes poured in. The Fever put 3 players in the starting lineup. Aaliyah Boston finished number 1 among all front court players in fan voting, not top 5. First, Clark was 2nd among guards with over 1 million fan votes, and Kelsey Mitchell 3rd among guards with the fans. Think about Mitchell's story for a second. Years of grinding in Indiana with barely any national attention. No playoff appearances early in her career. Now she's starting in the All-Star game next to Clark in Boston. That's what happens when a fan base actually shows up. An Instagram follower is not a voter. A like is not a ballot. Indiana just proved it, and Atlanta just learned it the hard way.
Before we jump into this, Angel Reese drowning her fans, or the Dream fans, of course. Look, let's be real. Angel Reese fans and actual basketball team fans are 2 different things. Also, where the hell's all these supposed Angel Reese fans at? Because you wasn't exactly nipping at the heels of 1st, 2nd, or 3rd place in this All-Star vote based on fan voting. You were not. In fact, you were beat by like 350,000 votes. All right? Nearly 400,000 votes.
But here's where this story takes a genuinely strange turn, because everything I just told you is about the fans. Once you get to the players' own ballots, the numbers stop making sense. Clark finished 2nd among guards with the fans, 3rd with the media. 2 separate groups, same conclusion. Then the player vote came in, and Clark dropped to 11th. At a position she's been dominating.
And the WNBA is a complete clown show. This also maybe factors into Caitlin Clark being 11th ranked amongst guards for players. But I saw this and was like, can this league not get anything right? Anything right. Fewer than half of WNBA players turned in ballots for this year's All-Star starters, according to Alexa Philippou. Fans accounted for 50% of the final vote, while player and media each made up 25%. Less than half of your players got back.
The players who guard her every single night, who build entire defensive game plans around stopping her, ranked her outside their top 10. And she wasn't alone. Kelsey Plum, averaging almost 24 points a game, ranked 12th by the players. Last year, the players had Clark 9th. This isn't a one-off, it's a pattern. And it gets worse. Reports came out that the player vote itself was a mess. Less than half the league even submitted a ballot. It's on the teams to hand them out. And by all accounts, some locker rooms barely participated.
I saw something about like they didn't even get ballots or something like that. I don't know how it works. How is that freaking possible? You can't bring in, like literally bring everybody into a conference room, hand out a ballot, let them fill it out, and everybody hand it back in all at the same time? You can't do that? Is that hard? More than half the league didn't even vote? God, this league can't get anything right.
So when you hear that the players ranked Clark 11th, understand what that really means. A fraction of the league decided for everyone else. Meanwhile, Paige Buchers surged past everyone late to finish first in fan voting, just ahead of Clark, after trailing well behind her in the totals released in late June.
WNBA voting scandal. It's a damn voting scandal going on. The information is out there. It seems to be a 400K voting swing in favor of Paige Buchers that happened within a span of 3 days. A 3-day 400K voting swing for Paige Buchers? I think not. There is a scandal. It is rigged what's going on with this voting. That UConn Mafia is strong. They done pulled some strings and rigged the damn voting. The players done voted Caitlin Clark as the 11th best guard in the whole league.
Fans immediately started asking questions about how that late surge happened. Nobody has proven anything improper, and Buchers is having a great season. But the timing lit the internet on fire. So let's connect all of this because these two stories are actually one story. In Atlanta, a star's on a podium saying the voting disrespected her team, while the numbers show her own fans stayed home. In Indiana, a fan base showed up so hard they made franchise history with 3 starters. And across the entire league, the one group whose vote should matter most, the players, produced a result so warped that half of them didn't even participate. And the ones who did ranked the most game planned against guard in basketball 11th. Here's my honest take. Reese wasn't wrong to defend Howard and Gray. They have real cases. But the disrespect she's looking for isn't in some league office conspiracy. It's in the mirror of her own fan base. And even more so, in a broken player ballot that keeps punishing the same names year after year. Clark gets face guarded from baseline to baseline. Teams double her the second she crosses half court. You don't do that to the 11th best guard in the league. The game plans tell the truth. The ballots refuse to. At the end of the day, fans reward players who show up and produce. And Indiana just proved it with 3 starters for the first time ever. But the player vote is broken and everybody can see it. So here's the question. Was Angel Reese right to call out the voting, or did she aim at the wrong target? And what's really going on with that player ballot? What do you think? Drop it in the comments.